Welcome to Evansville Podcast. My name is Jason Burton. Thank you for listening. Today's episode, we are talking all things basketball, college basketball. It's that time of year. March Madness, NCAA Tournament, Big Dance, whatever you want to call it. We've got the big game himself, Big Game James. Jamie Newcomb is joining to talk about his opinions on the tournament. We also have a call-in from our other Big Ten correspondent, Curt Powers. See, Jamie is a Purdue fan, and Curt is an IU fan. And growing up, a lot of anger there. But I think they worked some stuff out. They're still friends, so it's okay. It'll be okay, everybody. If the IU and Purdue fans can get along, then there's hope for us all. But on this episode, we're going to dig in, and we get a call from Curt a little bit into it to get his opinions on some of the matchups and his thoughts on IU, who is not in the tournament. So this is for the people that maybe want to fill out a bracket, but they don't know much about the game or who to pick. We give a little insight on maybe a couple of upsets and who we think will make the Final Four and ultimately cut down the nets, as they say, in Arizona. So before we jump into that, I wanted to let you know that the first episode of the second season of Beyond Repair will be out very soon. It will be out this Thursday, March 16th. So be looking for that. I'll definitely let you know when that is out. But yeah, set your watches or calendars or phones for that kind of thing. So here is Big Game James and Curtis O bringing us the college basketball knowledge. I'm going to name you the official Big Ten correspondent of Evansville Podcast. Are you cool with that?
That'd be great.
All right. No credentials needed. I don't know if you knew this. Evansville has put in to host the first four in 2019.
No, I didn't know that, but that's very cool. I think that'd be great.
Dayton has it through 2018, and they want to keep it, of course. And I think Hershey, Pennsylvania is another one that wants it. But Evansville, we should have it. Selfishly, I think we should have it.
I agree. And you could also tie it in that the team that Purdue's playing has two kids that went to Evansville Harrison, so they're Evansville natives.
See, that's why we bring you on here.
Ray Harper is coaching at Jacksonville State. He's from the area, Western Kentucky, Kentucky Wesleyan. Yeah, there's some Evansville ties.
Not as much as we'd like or have been in the past. They're there. There's some Indiana basketball being played in the tournament for sure. I saw the rankings, like the end of the year rankings, yes, and like the seeding for the tournament. Apparently, they don't talk at all because they're completely different.
Totally different. You got the Associated Press, and then you've got these group of people. I don't even know if they're coaches. I guess
I think it's directors. Like athletic directors, right? And I heard on another podcast somebody was talking about why Michigan State was in is because the athletic director for Michigan State is on the
he's the
selection
president.
committee.
Yeah,
right.
He's the president of the selection committee.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Tom Izzo. I respect him as a coach. They have no business being in this tournament. I'm glad they're in instead of Syracuse, but they have no business.
No, they'll find that out when they play Kansas or play Miami. Actually,
I think
Miami's probably going to beat them pretty handily.
Going to beat them.
But you're right. I think they look at Michigan State being the March Madness team. They always do well at the end of the year, but I think you're right there. They got a little help from the selection committee chair. Yeah, who's their athletic director.
And so that's like we can just start there. Maybe in the Midwest, they're the 8-9. Miami, Michigan State. You mentioned maybe Miami even winning. Miami's the 8, so technically not an upset.
No, I think Miami probably wins that one, and I'm not surprised wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't upset Kansas second round. I think
really Miami over Kansas.
I just think the ACC's very good, and they've played against the North Carolina Dukes all year, Notre Dame, and I just think Kansas they're good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Miami might be. I think last year they had a nice little run, and I don't know. That's just maybe my hope because Purdue's in that same bracket. And
I see. Let's
take Kansas out. But
right.
I definitely think it'd be a good matchup, Miami and Kansas. We'll see how ACC and the Big 12 compare to each other.
So we have Iowa State versus Nevada. Is the 5-12 there? There's always a 5 get upset by a 12. Is this the one?
I don't think this is the one. I don't know. I think the only 5-12 we'll talk later maybe is the Middle Tennessee versus Minnesota. But Iowa State's pretty athletic. I think they're pretty good. Some people have them even going all the way playing and giving Kansas a run for their money. But and I know some have said Nevada might be the sleeper too. When you only lose 6 games all year in the Division I, that's pretty impressive no matter what league you play in. So I picked Nevada to win over Ohio State just because, again, Purdue's in that bracket.
Well,
so I got to go with my heart sometimes. But I think Iowa State probably wins that one and comes out. And I'm hoping we see the Iowa State, Purdue. And looking through this whole bracket, I don't see any upsets that first round. I just think it's going to just go straight down the line in that Midwest. Now, other ones will be different story, but I think no upsets in the Midwest.
Midwest, I mean, overall, I guess I didn't see a lot of upsets, and I don't know, maybe I'm just completely missing something, but I really I struggled to find some upsets there.
It is, and I think some talk about this being having the most parity and that anybody could win, and then I hear others say that they don't see too many upsets. So I don't know what all that means, but
it means somebody's just wrong.
I think it's just no one knows. As we do this every year, I look at my brackets and I'm thinking, there's no way that can happen, no way, and then it does. But I'm looking at in the Midwest. I mean, Louisville was really good. Maybe Oklahoma State could beat Michigan. That could be an upset. Oklahoma State lost their first 1-11 to start the year, but they were on a hot streak and playing well. But Michigan's the same way. They've won 12 in a row or something crazy like that. So.
I do have one upset in this first round, and it's Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
I think Rhode Island, because Creighton, didn't they lose their point guard a couple months, I guess, now? But
I believe so. I know there's been several injuries of late on several teams like Oregon and such. But Rhode Island looked pretty good the other night watching them win in their conference tournament. But that could be an upset. You're right. Some say, I mean, even Vermont, again, the 2 Duncan brothers who played at Evansville Harrison.
Well, before we get a word on that one, maybe we should call our other Big Ten correspondent.
He's an IU fan, so you have to take everything with a grain of salt.
Curt?
Hey, Curt. We've been talking about this bracket. I haven't seen Indiana in it. Are they playing?
Yeah. Well, you're looking at the one that no one cares about. The NIT is the important one.
Okay.
I've heard that.
I've been scrolling over the NIT bracket all day. I don't know which bracket you're talking about, man.
Is it going to be a matchup of Syracuse and Indiana in the championship of the NIT? Best 2 teams in the NIT?
The problem is they put Indiana and Syracuse on the same side of the bracket, so they'll meet in the third round, and Syracuse will whoop them.
Oh.
Because they'll play a zone.
We were just getting ready to talk about the Purdue-Vermont matchup. Do you have any opinions on that one?
I don't know much about Vermont. Vermont does have 4 guys from the state of Indiana on the team. I do know that. One of them was injured in a car wreck out of Columbus. But the other 3 guys, one of them is actually from Evansville, the Duncan kid from Harrison. He may even have a brother that's from there. So I don't know too much about Vermont themselves in that aspect of it. I know they're usually generally a pretty tough matchup. But, Purdue, I mean, I'll give them their props this year, man. If they can get any consistent guard play from them and not hold on to the ball and not turn it over too much and drop a few threes, I mean, underneath the basket, there isn't anybody in the country that's going to match them. But Vermont themselves, I can honestly say I don't know too much about them. They got a pretty impressive record, which always says, winning is kind of a big deal. They've always seemed to put up kind of a bit of a fight in the tournament.
Well, that's what I say. Anytime you win 29 games in a Division I, that's pretty impressive. No matter who you are, 29 wins, and I think they've won.
Tell that to
bunch in a row.
Illinois State. Didn't they win 29 and they're not in the tournament?
Yeah, they that's another. They definitely. I think they should be in.
I don't know. There's something wrong with the NCAA. Seems like they have something against the Valley for some reason, but they keep winning in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know exactly what the NCAA has against the Valley.
Yeah, just wait till we can talk about Wichita State here in a little bit.
Let's go ahead, because Wichita State, I think that's the one I think they got hosed the most of any team.
Yeah, some say they're a top 10 team overall. They could be, and they just didn't get the love, and yet they're a 10 seed in the tournament. And I don't know, what do you think, Curt, that Wichita State-Kentucky matchup from a few years ago when Kentucky beat Wichita State and ruined their perfect season? What do you think Wichita State gets revenge this year?
Man, that'd be awesome if they did. There's no doubt about that. They seem to be playing pretty good ball right now and got it turned around. They had that huge turnover at the beginning of the year with their senior guard that they relied on for 4 years left. It takes a couple months to get used to that. So their losses came early in the year when they were still in that adjustment period. They obviously have found their groove. And, just with anything, they can be a good, fundamentally sound team, hold on to the ball, razzle the freshmen of Kentucky. That would be awesome, to be honest with you. That game up here is in Indianapolis. That'll be exciting. We get the Kentucky and Louisville fans up in the area. That'll be a great atmosphere to head downtown this weekend.
Yeah, there's no chance Northern Kentucky beats Kentucky, right?
Not a chance. I don't see that happening.
It is our first time ever in the tournament. They were Division II previously, weren't they, just a few years ago?
Yeah, and they'll be not only, you got to take that into consideration, they'll just be enamored by the fact that they're here in Lucas Oil Stadium and facing Kentucky, first round of the NCAA Tournament on national television. I mean, but then on the flip side, those teams, they go out there with nothing to lose, knowing that they have no chance, and go out there with nothing to lose. That's how those upsets happen. But I don't think it's going to happen this time. Calipari, for all that you can say about him, is an experienced NCAA Tournament coach, so he'll keep them focused.
Yeah, until they take away the wins a couple years later.
No doubt. I'm waiting on that. Waiting patiently on that. It'll happen a year or two after he retires. He has it all under the table right now.
Right. Is there any matchup in the first round that stands out to you as like, this is an awesome game?
I tell you what, you got to watch out for the Tennessee teams, the Middle Tennessee team and the East Tennessee State team. They are, they're experienced teams there, and I believe I'm going to get my Tennessee backwards. East Tennessee State is the one I'm kind of keeping my eye on. They have some athletic bigs, and I believe that's the one that a team that IU fans remember, Hunter Pereira, transferred to. Glancing at them, they're just one of those teams that have the big athlete that just let them go. For all the negative things with Hunter Pereira, the one thing he was a huge athlete, and they have kind of turned him loose. So you have that with them. So I'm kind of keeping my eye on them. And then Middle Tennessee State was the one that knocked off Michigan State last year, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. They return about everybody.
And they're playing Minnesota, who shouldn't
they're playing Minnesota.
Yeah, they shouldn't be a 5.
And that's a 5-12 matchup.
Yeah, it's a 12-5 matchup. Minnesota, I don't know how they got to be a 5. They're saying Minnesota is as good this year as what IU was last year, who was the Big Ten champion, because that's what IU was last year, and that's just ridiculous. And then they flip around and they play Butler, who is, if Butler knocks off Winthrop. I know a lot of people are looking at that.
Well, Butler's beat Villanova twice this year, too. Butler's pretty good. So, I don't know. I think Butler could be that team that could come out of that top bracket, half of the bracket, beat North Carolina, to play either Kentucky or UCLA. How about Butler, UCLA? How cool would that be? I would like that. Two Indiana natives.
The only thing I worry about UCLA is the second matchup between UCLA and Kentucky. Kentucky will know what they're getting themselves into if Kentucky gets that far, which I don't see.
Well, I think even that Kansas State, you got to be watching out for Kansas State. They're playing pretty well right now, 11 seed. I think they beat Cincinnati. And that whole South bracket's kind of interesting. You put all those 42 national championships between the Kentucky, UCLA, and North Carolina. That's a pretty tough bracket.
Yeah, that Kansas State Wake Forest game is a crazy playing game.
Yeah, no doubt. That's one of the. I think our South bracket is kind of top heavy there. You got North Carolina, Kentucky, and UCLA. I think it's stacked for those three. Everybody else is fairly even. Minnesota is your 5 seed. Like I said, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Butler has support, though. Butler, yes, they beat Villanova twice, but they've also lost to some weaker teams too. So it's just who's going to get in there? Is just North Carolina going to play Middle Tennessee, or are they going to play Butler? So I look at that as that. I don't see a roadblock for North Carolina until they get to the Elite Eight.
What happens if you come over to the West? What do you think about Northwestern and Gonzaga second round matchup? Gonzaga is one of those teams that you're rooting for because they've been there so many times and haven't really done a lot. But can Northwestern play off of their Cinderella getting into the tournament, and they match up? I mean, I think Gonzaga matches up. I'd like to see Purdue play Gonzaga because I think we match up well with them because they're just big and they're not really athletic. I'm just kind of curious. That'd be a neat matchup.
If Gonzaga and Purdue are playing for the national championship, I will eat this piece of paper.
We heard it here, folks. We will witness it.
I figured you got Purdue in there in the national championship pretty hands down.
If Purdue and Gonzaga played each other, it'd probably be a game in the 60s, maybe. I don't know. A lot of defense, a lot of banging inside. But in the West,
you think Northwestern's going to get past Vanderbilt? You think that's a done deal?
I think so. I mean, I guess I'm just surprised Vanderbilt even made it in the tournament. I guess they're a little better than I thought, but I think Northwestern's pretty good.
Who's Northwestern's coach?
Oh yeah, I hear you.
What was his name? Chris Collins, I think. Where do you play? Where do you play college ball?
Didn't he play North Carolina? Was it? Am I wrong?
No.
Carolina.
UConn.
No. No, that wasn't it.
Will be Duke's next coach? Is he going to be Duke's next head coach? If Coach K ever resigns?
Coach Kever's never retiring. What are you talking about?
What do you think about the Florida Gulf Coast now? There's a team you think they
A lot of people are high on Florida Gulf Coast. But there's a lot of people who are high on Florida State all year, too.
I think if Florida Gulf Coast upsets Florida State, they play all the way to Arizona. I think they win the next game.
Yeah, everybody's got that as their big upset, Florida Gulf Coast over Florida State, which is why it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Florida State is going to kill them.
Florida State's not going to look past them. I think since everybody's calling that one, Florida Gulf Coast made a name for themselves a couple of years ago. Florida State knows who they are. I don't think that's going to be an upset. I just think that's one of those ones that everybody's going to pick because it's just the catchy little pick there. But I think 2 months ago I heard Florida State, one of the so-called experts on the network there, was calling Florida State a potential Final Four team, and nothing's changed, and all of a sudden they're going to lose to Florida Gulf Coast because they had a few cool dunks in their championship game. People
put a lot of emphasis on athletic abilities, and
Florida State has two guys over 7 foot tall, so the dunk won't happen. You can't. It's hard to dunk over those guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't. That's one I don't.
Notre Dame, I've kind of been on the Notre Dame bandwagon all year. I think they played pretty well. That'd be a nice matchup too, maybe Notre Dame, Gonzaga in that bracket, as well as I think Arizona's got it. Like I said, Arizona, maybe Florida State, but I don't think Xavier with their injuries and Maryland. I think they played well early, but struggled late.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Gonzaga, but West Virginia I think is going to beat Notre Dame, and I think that West Virginia might beat Gonzaga. I put Gonzaga, but that was more of a heart than a head pick.
West Virginia plays that full court pressure the whole time, and they'll
don't look past Xavier. I think I don't always like to play the injury card, but when you have the guys that are coming back, I think Xavier. They pretty inconsistent, but when they're on, I think I see them as getting the Sweet 16, and you're looking at I wouldn't be surprised to see a Xavier Arizona matchup in that one. I've liked Xavier all year. Their 13 losses there kind of surprised me. It kind of quit following them a little bit in the middle of the year there. But, Trayvon Blue is a name that a lot of national people don't hear of. He's an indie guy. I followed closely through high school, and he just he's pretty sharp. And then you got, some size underneath there. So I say keep an eye on Xavier. I think Xavier Maryland is the big upset in that round, the 11-6 game. And even if you want to even consider that an upset.
Haven't they said a 6 seed is lost for the last 10 years in a row? There's been a 6 seed upset or something crazy. So that could be it. Although the Rhode Island Creighton, there might be 2 of those.
Yeah, I think that second round St. Mary Arizona game has potential to be really good because St. Mary's they don't get much respect nationally, but I think they're just because Gonzaga is in the same conference, but St. Mary's is a legit team this year.
Yeah, and they'll definitely. I think BCU is over. I think BCU is still living a little bit from the Shaka Smart years a little bit. They're not bad, but
right. And of course, you have Duke coming out of the East, right? So we don't even need to talk about that bracket.
Yeah, the East. It's just
it's a game to stack it to Duke. What a surprise! ESPN says Duke is the favorite. In other news, the sun is expected to rise tomorrow.
Hey,
come on.
Look, truth is truth, man. You can't complain about it. When something's true, it's true.
What a surprise! National pundits all over Duke.
Hey, they won. They won the. They beat the most top RPI teams this year, more than anyone else. Preseason number 1, just playing up to their potential here at the end of the year. Figured everything out. What's not to like?
Well, they finished 5th in the regular season of the conference.
Yeah, but they won their tournament. They went through a gauntlet of teams and won. The only ACC team ever to win 4 games in a row to win the tournament, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
No, well, there you go. No, they're playing. They're playing good ball, and they definitely. But are they too reliant on the 3?
No,
they're not.
No, not this year. In past, I would say yes, they were. But this year, I say they're not too reliant on the 3. They actually have a really good inside-out game with Jason Tatum. If you get a chance, even just put your Duke hater glasses, take them off. And watch.
No, I'm pretty good at putting the glasses away. When it comes to Kentucky.
And watch Jason Tatum play. He is amazing. He's going to be really good in the next year on some crappy NBA team.
I'm looking at St. Mary's schedule. They really didn't play anybody this year. They played Gonzaga twice and got beat.
3 times, actually. They lost in the tournament, too.
So that's about the only team they played. No, they did play Nevada.
St. Mary's has an adjusted offensive efficiency of 119, which is 15th overall, and an adjusted defensive efficiency of 94.3, which is 26th overall. They're ranked right in front of your team, Purdue, on the KenPom rankings, which is the nerd stat rankings.
Yeah. Look at the quality of opponents, though.
Yeah. Hey, you can only play who you're scheduled to play.
Your schedule. No, I agree 100% with that.
But
but isn't Indiana, wasn't IU's offensive efficiency like through the roof?
They're 27th. They're 116.6 points per 100 possessions. So that's pretty good. Their defense is what's not good. They're ranked 103rd defensively, so that's not awesome.
What do you think about SMU there? SMU in the East. A lot of people are thinking they could be a matchup against Duke. You know, SMU Duke matchup. You think?
Yeah, they got this big guy. I wish I could remember his name. Off the top of my head, I can't remember his name. I should have looked it up.
Semi Ojale?
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
But SMU's run into death problems.
Well, yeah, that matchup scares me because Semi Ojale used to play for Duke. He played his first 2 years at Duke, and then he transferred.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and so that always terrifies me.
Baylor would have been scary, but
I guess Larry Brown paid a little bit better.
Yeah, he had better vitamins or something, I guess, because that dude started lifting weights once he left Duke. But yeah, it's you know how they say they never seed these things for storylines or whatever. They claim to. But the fact that Duke could play Marquette in the second round when Marquette is coached by Steve Wojciechowski, who's a Duke beloved legend, and then in the next round play a former transfer of Duke. I mean, yeah, they do. And then the whole Wichita State Kentucky thing in the second round, and they totally seed those for matchups.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then in NIT, Syracuse is playing UNC Greensboro.
Yes, that is amazing.
After Jim Boeheim made those comments.
Yes.
And then it was IU and Kentucky last year in the second round, but it's not put together.
No, totally.
It's all just coincidence. But no, I hate to disappoint you, man. But I think Villanova can pull this off, man. I hate to do that to you, but
no, you're fine.
I think Villanova. They return everyone, experienced team. They got the full load there. I don't see them getting stopped until they get to Duke. That'll be one heck of a game. That'll be a fun game to watch.
I agree with
fun for some.
Yeah.
We won't keep you too much longer, but who's your pick? Who's your champ?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this. This year I don't see any surprises. Mainly this year, it seems pretty top heavy. I think everybody's just pretty much average after the first 8 or 9 teams, and I'm going to really go out on a limb here. I really can see Villanova repeating.
Yeah.
But if that's not the case, you got to look at. I think it's going to come from a top seed. One of the top 1 or 2 seed. I'm going to go with Villanova and Kansas. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going out on a limb, guys.
Wow, really stretching there.
I know.
Top 2 teams.
Villanova and Kansas. Woo.
I usually don't do that, but when I look in there, I see Villanova and Duke getting in there. That winner I see getting into the end. And then when you look at Kansas's bracket, I don't really like Louisville. They're tough and they're going to bang you down, but I don't see who's going to knock off Kansas. I hate to say it,
Purdue's in that bracket. Don't forget. Actually, I do like Purdue's matchup against Kansas because more than some others.
It's probably the second best team in that bracket.
Because I think Purdue matches up well with their size and.
I absolutely agree.
There's some teams I don't think we'd match up well with maybe Duke or Kentucky because I think they got too much length and athletic abilities to the basket. But I don't know. I think the size. Purdue. It's all about matchups, and I think Purdue matches up with Kansas well. But I don't know. We'll just have to. Iowa State might be too athletic for us. That's the problem. Is they're pretty athletic, and we don't do well against that kind of athletes.
Iowa State likes to choke it in the tournament, though. When have they even won a first round game?
Who are you talking about? Purdue.
Iowa State. No, that's very true. They do. They're usually out pretty fast.
Yeah. I look at the Midwest. I honestly think Purdue is the second best team in there. I'm not as high on Louisville. I've seen them play 2 or 3 times, and obviously that's not a grand sample, but they're just what a Louisville team is. Strong defensively and behind you underneath.
They
But
cannot
I think
shoot.
if you can put some points. Yeah, I don't think you're going to outscore Louisville. I think Louisville's not going to outscore you, and Purdue has the potential to outscore you. And that Purdue-Kansas matchup is really intriguing. And then
Michigan fans are
South bracket.
probably going, oh, wait about us because they played us twice, and that's the only team to beat us twice is Michigan. I mean, they were close and overtime, and I would like to play Michigan again because I don't think they could beat us a third time.
They got a
though.
tough road to go to that one.
But it's going to be exciting. I hope I don't sit here Friday and go, guys got beat by another kind of a mid-major with Vermont. I mean, they're kind of like Little Rock, lots of wins, and they have nothing to lose and no pressure. But I think Purdue's size will hurt Vermont. I don't think they have the size.
Well, you're here and here. Look out for the Tennessee teams, Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee.
I'm glad you said that because I thought the Middle Tennessee, they're very dangerous. Same team as last year, and they could beat North Carolina. How great would that be? Minnesota and North Carolina.
And then, but I like UCLA out of the South. And then on the West to me is the weakest bracket out of all of them. Everybody, the number one seed Gonzaga. I mean, Arizona is fun to watch. Don't be surprised to see Xavier get to the Elite Eight there, but I'm going to go with Arizona out of the West. So I'm going to go with Arizona, Villanova. I'm going to stick with Kansas. That Mason, that little point guard they got, just refuses to lose.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's just a bulldog.
How did IU do against Kansas this year?
They won that game. By the way, there's only two teams that have beaten had 2 wins against the number one seed team in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Butler and Indiana.
Yeah. Well, Butler's in there.
Actually, I guess Duke would because Duke beat North Carolina twice, didn't they?
Yeah, 2 out of 3 times this year. So.
Yeah, so I guess Duke would fall in that category too, I guess.
Yeah.
But Indiana's the only one to beat 2 separate number one seed
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yep.
All right, guys, have fun.
All right. One thing I did want to cover, and I will never repeat this outside of this podcast. So if I'm asked to on the street, if I'm asked about it, I will deny it. I think UK got screwed in this. I think they got a terrible draw. The seeding is terrible for them. The fact that they have to play, potentially, of course, Wichita State, UCLA, North Carolina. That's crazy. That is a crazy amount. That's like top, like you said, Wichita State, some people think they're a top 10 team. That's 3 top 10 teams they would have to beat just to make it to the Final Four.
I can't deny that. I probably have to agree with you that, legitimately they probably could be a number one seed.
Well, let's not go carried away.
But, they have the talent and a good record. And you're right. I don't know where else, I was just looking at maybe put them in the West there.
Yeah, or put Wichita State somewhere higher. Could you flip Wichita State and Minnesota?
Yeah.
And that's still reasonable, right?
I would think so.
Because how's Minnesota a 5 where Michigan is a 7? Michigan won.
I guess all because what they've done lately. Minnesota's done well lately. I don't know. Maybe this Michigan, the Michigan State guy helped out all the Big Ten teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think all the Big Ten teams got
maybe they
good,
did get higher.
maybe a higher seed than deserving. Even Northwestern, some might say maybe a little high for them. I don't know. Wisconsin probably about right, but I agree. I think Kentucky's probably they do get to play in Indianapolis, pretty close to home.
And they travel well. It doesn't matter really where they play. Ashley Judd will find them.
Maybe we'll see if Northern Kentucky can beat them. That would be pretty sweet.
Northern Kentucky, I think the only famous person that I'm aware of that went to Northern Kentucky is George Clooney. So fun fact for you, George Clooney. The things you learn on the NCAA week. That's something I picked up here recently. So we didn't talk too much about the East. I've heard a lot of people say that Duke gets a cakewalk to the Final Four and blah, blah, blah. But I disagree. They're playing their first round matchup, Troy. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're decent. But their record isn't even. I mean, they've got 14 losses, so I'm not sure why they're a 15 even. But they play the next round is a matchup between South Carolina or Marquette, and it's in South Carolina, so it's kind of a home court.
Yeah,
because North Carolina is playing there too, so there'll be a lot of North Carolina fans. So not necessarily the friendly confines for Duke, but and no one's going to cry. No one's going to feel sorry for Duke for any situation here, but I definitely don't think it's a cakewalk for them.
Absolutely. I mean, because then you look at the SMU or Baylor, the number one team most of the year.
Yeah.
I know they have an injury.
They were undefeated for almost the longest, besides Gonzaga. I thought Baylor was right there with them, right?
And they struggled just a little lately with the injury, but sometimes they find their way again. They're still a very good team, and SMU and. You got Florida and East Tennessee. There's some really good.
And Virginia. I mean, don't sleep on Virginia. They can look terrible at times offensively, but you were not scoring a lot of points on Virginia, so they're going to be in every game.
I mean, if you look at the bracket and all, I mean, Villanova supposedly the number one overall seed. I
don't see it because Wisconsin is.
I don't think they got the easiest bracket.
No,
like you said, Wisconsin.
Virginia Tech's not good, but
Virginia,
Wisconsin is.
Florida. SMU, Baylor. Yeah, then you got Duke. That's a tough one. I don't know who I'd have coming out of there right now.
It's Duke.
Duke could definitely. It would be pretty cool.
No.
Have Duke come out and we could have a Duke-Purdue matchup again. That'd be kind of fun. But
I don't see where
I think
thing.
we match up well with Duke.
No.
I don't think.
No, I can't say that. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know much about Purdue this year. I don't even have Duke going to the championship game.
I still think in my bracket that I would fill out. I think I'd have Villanova and Gonzaga, and then I have UCLA. Of course, the Midwest. It's questionable.
You have Purdue, right?
It's very hard to go against my heart, but I think it could be Purdue or Kansas. I mean, they have a legitimate chance. I don't want to see Louisville or.
No. I don't think. I mean, Louisville, I think of anybody, Louisville's got the easiest road to the Elite Eight, at least. No. North Carolina's probably got I take that back. North Carolina's got the easiest road, but Louisville's not too bad. My Final Four is Duke, Arizona, Kansas, and Kentucky.
Boy, you're on this Kentucky thing, aren't you? I can see you have Kentucky like just a little more than North Carolina. I can see.
No, I do not. I absolutely do not. I just think I don't respect North Carolina as much this year.
Yeah. How about UCLA though?
I do. I really like UCLA, but I think that Kentucky's. Yeah, I just think it's one of those. Well, it's probably one of those things where they're both going to score like it's going to be like 95-93. But yeah. I think Kentucky, just because you want to tick me off, they're going to beat them.
Well,
yeah, I have Arizona and Kentucky in the championship. Sean Miller scares me as a coach, and I think they're playing really well. They beat UCLA and then Oregon to win the Pac-10.
And the Final Four is in Phoenix, so
yeah. So that's not nothing.
They don't have to ever leave home, really. They play in Salt Lake City and then California and then Arizona. So they got a nice little path. But I could see that. I could see Arizona getting there in the final game. Just the other side of the bracket. I still like the UCLA quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, me. I know he's an IU guy, but ex-IU guy.
You want Steve Alford versus Purdue in the Final Four, don't you?
That's right. I just want to, yes.
One more time. Yeah, in the end, I think it's one or two is in each of the sections of the Final Four.
I don't think we see any double-digit Final Fours this year.
No, it's no VCU, no George Masons, no whatever that year was, Butler.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think
it's Middle Tennessee State versus East Tennessee, apparently, if Curt's to be believed.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the experts have been saying that too. Watch out for...
Like Charles Barkley.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee State.
Is there any player that you haven't really watched much that you're looking forward to seeing for the people looking for a game to watch?
I would like to see Gonzaga actually play some. I don't see him much because of being on the West Coast, and I know they've got the big center, big burly guy with a big beard and looks like a lumberjack.
Sounds great. He sounds very handsome.
He's not what you would look at it and think, oh, he's a basketball player, but he's a brute. And so it'd kind of be interesting to see Gonzaga play in their style and something from the West Coast that we don't see much. But
I'm looking forward to seeing more of Lonzo Ball from UCLA. I haven't watched much of him. I've seen a lot of highlights, but never really like a full game or even a full half of a game. So I saw a crazy pass he did the other day, and it was just next level insane. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him do his thing. I'd be curious to watch Notre Dame again to see if they actually commit a foul, because they didn't commit a foul the entire game when they played Duke the other night, or felt like it. It was the craziest game.
Nigel Williams-Gross from Gonzaga, I saw where he's him and Swanigan and Frank Mason.
Yeah, Frank Mason. He's
three of the top All-Americans, and let's see.
Who does? What is the second one you said?
This Caleb Swanigan.
Yeah, who's he play for?
He plays for a team in Indiana called the Boilermakers.
No, I'm not familiar.
Maybe National Player of the Year.
Is he the double-double guy?
He's the double-double guy.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm excited. I can't wait to see the upsets. I know there's always going to be some, but when you look at it, you're like, where?
So the potential Sweet 16 matchup of Villanova and Virginia, is there enough camera time for both coaches, or do they have to pick a favorite?
Well, they might. I bet they give it, I think, to Jay Wright still. He seems like
just because he's got the championship.
What did they say? Who was it the other day? Was the Gonzaga, Mark Few, couldn't come and do a video shoot because he was doing something for J. Crew or something. So I don't know.
Oh, really? Jeez.
There's some, I guess if you get paid on the side there. But
yeah, those coaches are really hurting for money. Because all the money they give to the players.
Yeah, I'd like to look at all the different salaries of all the coaches in the tournament. That'd be kind of cool, and see the differences in the salaries. And I know Calipari makes his assistants make more than I know Matt Painter does at Purdue. So I like to see everyone's like what Mark Few makes and compare by salaries. And
yeah. Well, we don't need to do that with Duke. They're fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure they give all their money away. It's charity. Some kind of Catholic charity for Coach K.
I'm sure it doesn't go to those 10 McDonald's All-Americans that come in.
No. What are you talking about? How dare you besmirch the name of Coach K on this podcast? You'll never be invited back.
Oh, goodness. What fun.
All right, so you've got Purdue winning it all.
Hey, one thing we did talk about, how about if we could have the Northwestern versus Duke matchup in the Final Four there.
Yeah.
But that would be pretty cool storyline. Yeah. Chris Collins and Northwestern. If first Northwestern time ever to play Duke.
That would be
Final
amazing.
Four. That will be definitely a.
I'm guessing he would have a lot of coaching offers that next year.
I would say so too. He might be going to Indiana. I don't know if that'd be a stepper or not, going from Northwestern to Indiana. I guess it would be. But
your wish matchup Final Four.
My wish,
not saying who you think, but who you would say this would be the best Final Four that we could get out of this bracket.
That I would like to see. My wish, mine would be. I would like to see Purdue, UCLA, Gonzaga, and in that middle. In the East, it's kind of up in the air. Any of them, Duke would be all right. Villanova, I'd like to see. Or I might just go with Baylor, just having Scott Drew there. He's from Indiana, so from Valparaiso. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'd like to see what kind of uniform they're going to wear on the Final Four. You never know if it's going to be fluorescent or yellow or green or gray or what. But just checking out their uniforms. But I guess, so I got Purdue, UCLA, Gonzaga, those three, and then the East is kind of who my wish would be. I'll go with Villanova, and that way maybe Villanova or Purdue in the final game, and we could get revenge from our very first game of the year where they beat us by 3. So maybe all the glory can come right back to Purdue. So that'd be a wish. Not going to happen, but but that would be a fun one for me to watch personally. And us Purdue fans probably would enjoy that as well.
Yeah, my dream Final Four is Duke, South Dakota State, UC Davis, and Texas Southern.
That would.
I like my odds. I like the odds. I like my chances.
I think there'd be a lot of wagering in Vegas for Duke, and
yeah, I like it.
That would be.
That's my dream. And then really, it's Duke versus either one. You know what? No, I take that back. It is Duke. I want Duke versus Texas Southern, and I want to avenge a loss against Mike Davis from back in 2002, let's say.
Well, I wonder what the capacity of the arena would be that game with that Final Four.
Very blue.
I think Duke will have majority of the seats.
Yes, as they should. Yeah, cool. Well, go Duke.
All right, baller up.
Thanks again to Jamie and Curt for dropping some knowledge on us. And so we'll see what happens. I'm sure we're going to look very smart here in a couple days when all of these upsets that we picked happen. And we can all agree that Duke should win. So go Duke, and good job, everybody.